and get my. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the BroDiallo broadcast here at Q4Q4.org. Broadcasting straight out of the city of Chirac, state of Illinois, in the United States of America. Late great planet Earth. I don't know what I say. In the misnamed Milky Way galaxy. Um, there's been some mix up. I know I'm late. I'm late and apologize for that. I have some issues. If you tuned in, it's chilling in here. If you tuned into my last broadcast, I said I wouldn't be in the studio because my car broke down. And then, blessings on blessings came my way. The auto center said not only did they repair my car, let me tell y'all something. And all y'all who doubt, all y'all who question, uh, who question my faith, my God. All you who question my God, let me tell you something. My car broke down, right? And it was a transmission issue. We had it towed to the service center, and they said they wouldn't have the car fixed until they couldn't even look at the car until the 15th. But when the car got there, they did a diagnostic and found out that the car issue was based on a recall by the manufacturer recall. So not only did they fix the car immediately, the repair was free. God, look at God. So I'm mobile. When I thought I'd be stuck, I pulled out. Let me show y'all. If y'all watching, if you're listening on Q4, shout out, support Q4, independent. But I've been carrying around. I had to dust off my old venture card. This is the transit card right here. And I told y'all, if y'all saw me skateboarding, I had some plumbing work I had to do. So if you saw me on a skateboard with PVC pipe and a wrench and a couple of toilet seats under my arm, it wasn't because I was on that end. I didn't steal no copper out of nobody's. If you saw me skateboarding and riding bikes, trying to tend to my business, it's not because I got on that end. It's because my car had broken down. But now I'm mobile again. I'm back up with the petty Negro bourgeoisie, so I can take this car and put it back in my nightstand because I ain't getting on no damn L train. Like my sons don't want me on the L anyway because they catch the bus in the L and they don't want to have to run into their father. I ran into my son the other day in the park, walking, holding hands with his little girlfriend. And my son, he's 14, but he's like 6 feet tall, and his girlfriend is a normal sized child. And so she's wearing a beautiful afro that's like 24-inch tall afro so that she's not so dwarfed. It's the cutest thing, the teenage love. I should play that. The teenage. Well, let me stop because my son watches this sometime. Let me stay out of his business. My wife said don't talk about my son's business because she's afraid that he will stop being so open and honest and sharing with us if we go about the community talking his business. He's a private man, big things, big business. But he's not listening now because he's at work, actually. Shout out to After School Matters and giving young people work and training and lessons on blessings. Like I said, I am blessed and highly favored. God skipped over the atrocities in the Congo. God skipped over the atrocities and suffering in Haiti. God had stepped over homeless people. God left the children struggling with genetic malformities and childhood congenital deformities. God skipped over, all that suffering to repair my car. Because I am more important to the almighty creator of existence than all those other people. Because that's the kind of psychopathology involved with believing that God blesses you. Albie Shore came out of the coma. I don't know if y'all knew. I can tell you how I feel about Albie Shore coming out of his coma. But Albie Shore came out of his coma, and everybody was celebrating and sharing because folks love Albie Shore. And I even shout out to Albie Shore. You don't know how many little house parties I was able to grind up on pretty young ladies in neighborhood rent parties and house parties, and all due to Albie Shore. Shout out to Albie Shore. some fond memories from my childhood. But after he came out of that coma, dude was like, all praises due to Allah. And literally, while he's walking on a walker being rehabilitated with medical staff to the left of him, medical staff to the right of him, science and technology in his veins, science and technology all around him, he gave all thanks and praises to Allah. Not to medical staff, not to medical science, not to decades of research, not to the man who emptied his bedpans, not to the CNA who washed his body, not to the nurses who cleaned out and flushed his IV. He gave all praises due to Allah. And everybody was like, all right, he's a good man. I'm like, man, if I was a radiographer in that hospital, they'd be like, oh, we need a portable test on I'll be sure. I'm like, let Allah do it. He's getting the praises, but I guess it's weird. It's a weird, I mean, I don't have the ego to be a child of God. That is some weird shit. But anyway, but now I'm a believer. Up until they called me yesterday and say, come get your car. And not only should you come with your car's repaired early, but due to this issue on your car being the result of a manufacturer's flaw, come get your car and it's free of service. And I'm like, wow, blessings do exist. Because I was, like I said, I was on the CTA. I was on the green line. Jesus is on the green line. Tell him what you want. Oh, so, you know, I was like, damn, I was just on my way to the Congo. I was just on my way to IT. I was just on my way to liberate a political prisoner. I was just on my way to hold back the flood waters. I was just on my way to bring down lightning, fire, and brimstone on a pedophile. But BroDiallo needs his car because he can't get to the studio to do his little Rudy Poo broadcast. So I got blessed. It is weird. Anybody, if you're hanging out with a blessed and highly favored person, be careful. Because they are mentally questionable that you could really believe. Live on planet Earth in 2022 and believe that God cares about your football game, your football team, or your minor inconveniences. It's just weird. But that ain't even what I'm here to talk about. Oh, Chauncey's in the house. Talk about being blessed and highly favored. You come on up here now. Chauncey's down there in the tropical sun while I'm about to endure another Chicago winter without my co-conspirator on deck. Get back up here. Come up here and suffer with the rest of us. Shoot. You know I'm the Grinch of Pan-Africanism. You know I'm the hater innovator, the hater facilitator. I'm going to hate on you. To you. But anyway, let's get on to the topic because I wanted to talk about, which I can't do because we've got new monitors. We've got a new soundboard thing, a new keyboards, no, this is the same thing. There's new stuff everywhere. And I don't know how to work this stuff. And I got a text from John. He's the little nerd that plugs in and runs all these wires all over the place. And he said, yo, Diallo, we got some new software. We got some new instruments, and I'm gonna have to show you how to use it. And I'm like, don't show me nothing because I'm not even gonna be there all next week because I don't have a car and I'm not about to come all the way to Ukrainian village. Do all that. They don't pay me enough. They don't pay me anything. My supporters don't support me enough to drag. So I'm gonna just be doing my thing from home until that comes together. And so I didn't know I have a car. So after telling him I didn't want his tutorials, that I wasn't going to look at the messages from Q4 for the Q4 broadcasters, Q4 producers, I don't want to think about it until it's time, till next week. And here I sit, not knowing how to do nothing. The camera isn't hooked up. Let me see. I ain't about to. I don't know what's going on here. I see this thing. This is like a mic. Can y'all even hear me? This thing's supposed to be plugged into something. And it's, hey, what do y'all want from me? So you get what you get. That's what you get for messing with BroDiallo. Y'all know how I struggle. Y'all know I ain't got it together. But anyway, so I wanted to do this thing where I wanted to play this rant by Lord Jamal. Lord Jamal from Brand Nubian. Because Brand Nubian just been kicking me in the face, man. Brand Nubian just be letting me down. Like Gil Sky Heron said, you can always count on people and gravity, because both of them will bring you down. You can always depend on catching something because something is going on. Oh, I didn't tell you about the music. The intro song, if you were listening on the broadcast, the intro song was a new song by Paris, the Black Panther of hip hop. I've been listening to this brother since the 1990s, and he came out with some new tracks. He disappears on you sometime. I guess he is a Panther because he'll come out, drop some radical music, and then disappear into the bush, and then jump out again, drop some tracks. So I guess he really taking his Panther title seriously. But the Black Panther of hip hop is back and better than ever, and he dropped the track. So go look up Paris, go stream, or whatever you nerds do, whatever you young whippersnappers do, go look up Black Panther of Hip Hop Paris, Walk Like a Panther. It is a dope track. A lot of cursing and profanity, so Quabanon might, and he drops N-bombs in that song, but it is radical revolutionary music. So now, so I can't do that. I wanted to dissect and talk about Lord Jamal like a doll, because I think, you know, Brand Nubian has been letting me down. So like Lord Grand Poobah, you know, is out here endorsing Kyrie and Kanye, and Lord Jamal is just out here saying the dumbest, most ultra conservative right wing bullshit I've ever heard. He wants 12-year-old black kids to have guns, and he is calling black women. He said that repeated the lie that black women are killing babies and that abortion is genocide, and he wants to continue to deny their rights. And he's literally spewing every single right-wing, ultra-right, fascist talking point, from the Second Amendment rhetoric to the anti-abortion rhetoric. And I can't say it breaks my heart, because yes, he's been on some bullshit for a long time. It's so rare. There's been some artists that really talking and live it, keep it real, keep it a buck. You know, and then in the comments, I went and left a comment like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then I look in the comments and Dead Prez is in the comments, but I guess that's their mentor. He mentored them, bro. If it wasn't no Lord Jamal, there'd be no Dead Prez. But goddamn, how much am I supposed to take? It's hurtful. It's hurtful, man. CNN. But anyway, I was gonna play the bullshit he was saying, because what Lord Jamal said is indicative. It is a textbook case and black militant conservatism, black militant reactionism. These are the type of black people who want to stand in opposition to white men, but not to overthrow capitalism, not to overthrow patriarchy, not to overthrow the systems and institutions of global white domination. They are there to replace the white man. They want to unseat. They don't want to topple the throne. They just want to replace who's seated in the throne. And we've already seen in the decolonization of Africa, when these reactionary right-wing forces who are black and even anti-white, Jomo Kenyatta, Uncle Tom ass sellout Jomo Kenyatta, sellout Uncle Tom Roman Catholic, Zimbabwe, what's his name? Mugabe, Mobutu Sese Seko. We've seen these black men who claim to hate the white man and claim to overthrow white power and be the embodiment of white power, but their mentality is white. We've seen it in the Caribbean. Papa Doc Duvalier was anti-white. But when he took power, he was just as bloodthirsty and unjust and corrupt as the white people he replaced. So we've seen this happen. So black is not enough, which we're going to touch on that. So let's just get to the topic. And after the topic, I'm going to just go play some music, because a good half of my show I can't even do because the instruments, I don't understand what I'm looking at here. The camera isn't working. The links and the share thing, none of that's working. So I'm just gonna do what I can do. I'm going. Oh, that's not right. Man, these monitors are nice. It's nice things. I'm feeling like I wish I should turn the camera around and see how I'm in a lap of luxury here. I don't know, man. John Q4 must have hit a lick. Where they get money for all these nice things, new and nice things? Where'd that come from? But anyway, since I can't play it, I just delete all that, just skip all that. But I'm gonna come back and do it. I'm gonna share Lord Jamal's idiotic video. It's about 14 minutes. And I was going to share it and pause it and offer commentary and show where he's absurd, contradictory, and just plain stupid. But the problem is, it ain't just Lord Jamar. Lord Jamar is really reflective and embodying what a lot of these black men that we think are our frontline warriors, who are our freedom fighters, who are our militant alpha black men, are a threat to us, are an obstacle to true liberation, and who mimic every element of the oppressive system that we are trying to get liberated from. These black right-wing conservative reactionary militants, they are a pox and a plague, not just on the conscious community, but on black liberation struggles. I was going to talk about foundational black America, the FBA, Tariq Nasheed, and prosperity politics. But I'm just tired. I'm tired on the inside. I'm that weariness that sleep can't even cure. Tired of going over the same shit. I mean, I used to joke all the time in the early years of the BroDiallo show that I wanted to name this the Broken Record Hour. I feel like I say the same shit every time I walk into the studio. I confront the same problems and say the same shit every single time I come into these Q4 studios. Because the same problems present to us. But hey, it is what it is. I don't want to ruin y'all Wednesday night. It's hump day, only a few days to the weekend. And plus, you know, I had coffee earlier today, a late coffee. I'm gonna show y'all. I got this hand espresso press. I got a nice little coffee set up. I am a coffee snob and a coffee connoisseur. So when the revolution comes and the class war comes, and y'all try to bring down the coffee elite, y'all might have to take me down. I might be on the side of the coffee elites. You know, I want to overthrow the capitalist elites. I want to overthrow the landed gentry. I want to overthrow the political and cultural elites. But the coffee elites, we play a vital role in society. So don't overthrow the coffee snobs. Now, all class war, but no coffee class war. Leave us to our business to conduct our business, you peasants. You know, I drink only the finest beans with the level 8 ground. Oh man, I got to show y'all my coffee setup. It's the one luxury I have in life. Okay, I got 2 luxuries. No, I only have 1 luxury. Wait, does that count as a luxury? Because you know I'm used to the finer things. I like my nice coffees. I don't deal with. Don't bring me no instant cup. Don't bring me none of that. What's that Keurig? I go visit my aunt, and she's constantly pushing Keurig coffee on me. Oh, fingertips to chest, clutch my pearls. Anyway, celebrity worship. Today's broadcast is titled. You're listening to Q4, Q4.org. And really go support Q4 because there's some new equipment here, and I know this stuff is on credit, and I don't want to be in here broadcasting one day and have a repo man come and grab this stuff, snatch the boards and snatch the monitors. It's embarrassing. My mama used to do Renter Center when I was a kid, man, and Renter Center giveth and the Renter Center take it away. So, you know, support the BroDiallo broadcast and also support the Q4 broadcast. But we're going to talk about celebrity. What is this? I got a call. I didn't even know. What happened? Oh, if you called, I didn't even give the number. If you called, I think it was somebody called accidentally. Yeah, you can call in. It's 31. Oh, here we go again. Hold on. Hello, caller. You're on the BroDiallo broadcast. Hey, how you doing? Good, good. How you doing tonight, Leisha D?
Your work and all you do, I'm saying constantly, but I'm here to say a simple thank you.
Oh, Charles.
Say thank you.
Well, I appreciate you calling, sis. Thank you so much. I was like, well, how you get my number? Who gave you my number? I see it's Chauncey out here putting my business. Oh, good. Yeah. So he's doing his job from down there in the sunny south. I ain't gonna tell y'all where he is because he could be hiding out from somebody. I don't want these sisters that's looking for him in Chicago. I won't put it because he moved rather abruptly. All right, good, sister. Thank you for calling in, and shout out to Chauncey for sharing the number because I always forget to. All right. All right. Yeah. Okay. Shout out to Chauncey. I didn't know he was still putting in that work. I thought since he moved down to the promised land. He calls me, right? Sometimes Chauncey will call me on the video phone and I'll be seeing like the ocean and palm trees over his shoulder. And it was like, I swear to you, one day we was like just chilling in a vegan restaurant, eating and shooting, and then shooting the shit. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, Chauncey, where you at? He's like, oh brother, I'm taking care of some business. I never seen him again. So I don't know who he on the run from. Chicago. I'm a transplant. He was born and raised in Chicago, so ain't no telling what trouble he's in. So I'm reluctant to say where Chauncey is, but it's just someplace nice. He ain't gonna be having to wear these big heavy ass sweaters and boots. I can just say that, but I ain't gonna give the brothers locale away because I no snitching, right? Hashtag snitches get stitches. But shout out to the co-conspirator. Shout out to James. He went back to his name, so you're not on the run. You're not hiding no more. Why every brother that's part of the BroDiallo cabal, y'all be out here doing side hustles and changing y'all names and changing y'all addresses? I don't know what's going on, but it's good. Don't tell me. So when the feds come to me, I'll be like, I don't know nothing about nothing. So anyway, let's get to the topic. How y'all doing this evening? Q4 Radio, I said that already, and I didn't have to say it for at least another 20 minutes. Let's see. All the clocks are synced up, so I don't be here jawboning over time and thinking I got time. All the clocks are synced up. You can again thank me and thank the Almighty. Things are we're never ignorant over here, never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. So anyway, let's talk about celebrity worship and how celebrity worship is corrupting Black unity. And there's several angles I want to come at this, and there's several points that I make about this Black celebrity culture and celebrity culture in general. I'm not really going to talk about the issues in any type of relevant order. Just some thoughts I want to give you. First of all, we have to understand what a celebrity is. A celebrity is not an entertainer. A celebrity is not an athlete. A celebrity is not a person who really does anything specifically or in particular. So you have athletes, high-level elite pro athletes, or even college-level athletes that are celebrities, and you have athletes that are not celebrities. You have musical artists from all genres. Some are athletes. I mean, some are famous and well-known around the world. Some are locally, but some are celebrities, some aren't. You have people who literally do nothing. Kardashian, excuse me. You have people who literally do nothing, but they reach celebrity status and they're famous and they don't really perform any particular thing. You have politicians. You have some politicians who are nothing more than bureaucrats who slave away for the goodness of their fellow man in cramped little cubicles in some government office. And you have other politicians who are literally like rock stars. I just saw Michelle Obama. She was on 53rd Street. He was like a block and a half up the street from my from this health food store I shop at. And the only thing, I only go to the health food store to get these vegan peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. I'm not there getting supplements and herbs and sea moss and shade. So it's a health food store, but they got these vegan cookies I like. Don't get it twisted. I gotta stop, man. But I was gonna tell y'all another personal woe I had, but I'm done leveling my hardships on you. But anyway, I was up the block, right? And we started walking. And if you live in Chicago, especially if you live in the hood of Chicago, they always shooting movies around. Like a lot of times in my neighborhood, right around my block, they shooting Power. I think that 50 Cent show, and it's that fleshy face white dude that drives like a Mustang or some muscle car that's real famous. Well, I see that dude all the time. They shot a lot of scenes from some Power just in the last year in my hood. So everywhere you go, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and a lot of local shows, they shoot some Tyler Perry series here. So there's always a movie crew here. And, they have the vans, they have the black Suburbans, they have security everywhere. So we were walking up, I had just gotten myself 2 peanut butter chocolate chip vegan cookies. And my wife and I were walking up the block and I'm like, they must be shooting another movie at this restaurant. So she goes up and asks one of the security guys, "What's going on here?" Because it was obviously movie stars, and it was Michelle Obama. And he was like, "Well, Michelle Obama is having dinner with Robin Wilson. Robin, who's that? Hold on, I don't know the Negro. What's that lady name? Michelle Obama and oh, here it is. There it is. Robin who? So they was up in her house. She had an exclusive interview, and they was walking around the South Side of Chicago. Look at her fake ass. Look at this fake ass. I can't share the screen because the camera's not working. They had Michelle Obama all up in restaurants and walking around the South Side, pretending like she one of us. Look at that. What's her name? Robin Roberts. Right. So I saw Michelle and Robert Robbins slumming on the South Side of Chicago, right? And they were in local black businesses. They were in the Obama House, which is across the street from the synagogue. Obama's mansion is directly across the street from a synagogue. So, run with that, conspiratorials. And that synagogue used to have a really nice garden, and they uprooted the garden and it's gone. But anyway, in case you didn't know. So who really runs the world? But anyway, so I walk up and there's like camera crew, black Suburbans, security, all this stuff around for Michelle Obama. And she was just the first lady, but she's a celebrity. Not all first ladies are celebrities. Not all first ladies are icons of fashion. So anyway, just to say that some people can chase balls, football, basketball. Some like this is real talk. I'm not even making this up. I was just in Detroit with a brother of mine, somebody I consider a brother from another mother, a brother from the motherland. And this guy's like an international superstar. He's like literally the offspring of another legend, an international superstar. And we were just walking up the street, just me and him, going to Starbucks to get myself because I was out of town. So yes, I know I just talk all this shit about being a coffee snob, but sometimes I come down with the coffee peasants and drink peasant coffee. But this particular day I was out of town, so I didn't have access to my stash of upper class coffee. So anyway, we're walking down the street and this sister stops and was like, "Oh my God, she said the ancestors told her I would run into you today. And I want to thank you for all your work." And boo, boo, boo. And he gave her a hug and a pound. I took a couple of pictures for her and we went about our business. And nobody was like, no fanfare, just walking amongst the people around the way. And because this guy is a musician, he's even a star, a recording artist, but he's not a celebrity. You have entertainers who are also scholars, Paul Robeson. Even if I don't agree with everything he says or his conclusions, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. One day I was in Harlem and I saw this small huddle of people and I'm like, oh my God, I saw one man towering over all these people. It was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And if you know me, I'm 6'3" and I'm looking straight in my neck to look up at this dude. And he had just written a book about African American heroes and stuff. And I was talking to him. I'm like, wow, this guy is really smart as hell. This is a smart dude. So you can have athletes or a scholar. So if there's a recording artist or an athlete, I don't just dismiss them because they are famous or rich or anything. Because you can have scholarly athletes, you can have uneducated athletes, you can have celebrity athletes, and they're not always the same. Rumor has it that Kobe Bryant was extremely well educated, right? Look at James. I ain't name dropping. I don't like to name drop. I know people. But anyway, just take the example. I don't want to name drop like that. I'll let y'all let the mystery. I like to be mysterious, a little bit mysterious. Y'all look at the BroDiallo show and like, how does that brother live? Where does he go? What does he do between shows? Let me have a little mystery. Anyway, all that to say is not everybody. So what makes a celebrity? If it ain't enough to make you a celebrity, if you chase balls on the pro level, to have millions of dollars, to get elected to office, and be a public official, to be a musician, a famous musician, to be on TV. If that's not enough to make you famous, what makes you a celebrity? And let me tell you what makes someone a celebrity. What makes someone a celebrity is if they are or allow themselves to be an embodiment of the aspirational goals of the society. They are an embodiment or living representatives of the highest aspirations of the status quo. And I know it's a complex thing to say, but that is the only thing that encompasses or allow all celebrities, that ties them all together. Because that's the least, that's how you, a radical analysis, how you distill things down. Because you can say, well, what makes someone a celebrity? Being rich? There's a lot of rich people who aren't famous. I mean, a lot of rich people who are not celebrities. Being pro athletes, there are plenty of pro athletes that don't have shoe endorsements, that aren't celebrities. They go, they chase the ball, and they cash the big check and go home, and nobody pays attention to them. Music, no. And like I said, there are people who literally have no extraordinary talents for performing, for athleticism, for literature, for nothing. And they're celebrities. People, y'all heard of this girl named Whoa Vicky? Y'all remember that girl? Period. 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 She just got millions of followers, and now she walks down the street and people mob her. You know? Remember These Nuts? That guy, These Nuts? Or she's climbing in your windows, locking your people up. There are people doing all kind of shit. People who are famous because they have no talent. Because they're inept. They become famous or go viral. And that's another thing about fame and celebrity. It is fleeting. It is fleeting. So it comes, it goes, it ebbs, it flows. So the celebrity is not permanent. And it's really tragic when you see a former celebrity who doesn't realize that celebrity is transient. There used to be this wonderful talk show my wife used to listen to back, gosh, I've been with that woman too long. This is over 20 years ago when I got a son who's 20 years old. And back when she was still breastfeeding that boy, she used to listen to this show. And a segment of this show on Chicago, Pacifica Radio in Chicago was a show that had a segment called Famous Fleetings. It was called Famous Fleetings. And they would talk about these old school celebrities. Let me see what I have to ask her about it. I don't see it. Anyway, there was this thing called Famous Fleetings, because she used to listen to like old radio from like the 40s and 50s, like theatrical radio and stuff like that. And there was this old man that had this thing called Famous Fleetings, and he would talk about some of the biggest celebrities from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and even contemporary celebrities, and give you details about their lives and talk about the records that they broke and the barriers that they broke through, and how they were just the most famous people, and now nobody remembers them because fame is fleeting, right? So anyway, I know my convoluted, I try to, what I say, which you have to distill things down. If you want to understand celebrity and what really is a celebrity, you have to distill it down and say, well, you can't say money, talent, even being, popularity. There are people who are hated, but they're celebrities. So what makes someone a celebrity versus just being a talent, just being a talented or gifted person, is that they are able, or they are selected as living embodiments of the aspirational goals of the status quo. And the aspirational goals of the US Western capitalist status quo is very clear. A shit ton of money, an obscene amount of money, and then an obscene level of self-absorption. There are some other things, but those are the main things that make you a celebrity. So anybody that's hashtag goals. There's even some celebrity scholars. I remember when Cornel West in the 90s, he was a celebrity. You know, he said some things and he went, you know, kind of off the reservation and said some things he wasn't supposed to say. So he lost that status. But there was a time when Cornel West, everybody couldn't get close. Everybody wanted a piece of Cornel West. He was all over the place. You know, I used to call him Coon L. West. But then, you know, the fact that he was so forthright in his opposition to the Obama administration and calling out the crimes of the Obama administrations, I stopped calling him Coonell West and I started calling him Cornel West again. But I called him Coonell West because he stabbed Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, and our other radical scholars in the back, and was basically what Professor William Mackey called him, a hitman for the white folks, where they would use him to attack African and radical scholars so that we couldn't call racism. So anyway, he was once even a scholar can become a celebrity. Michael Eric Dyson. He's another former scholar celebrity. A current one is, what's that guy? Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a scientist and a celebrity. So even academics. Michio Kaku, if you know Michio Kaku, for many years was a celebrity scientist, a celebrity scholar. So that's what celebrity is. You know, it's not enough. You can be an infamous celebrity or a famous celebrity, but you got to be aspirational. You have to embody the values and the goals of the society. So if you are the most talented basketball, what's that dude, Abdul Raif? Who's that guy that used to pray? Who used to Muhammad Abdul Rauf. Muhammad Abdul Rauf. He was a ball chaser. He was a basketball player, a really, really good one, apparently, I've heard. And he used to stand there praying to Allah during the game. Or Craig Hodges, pro-black Craig Hodges. You know, so if you're pro-black, or if you are any way that deviates from the limited parameters of the status quo, can't be a celebrity. And even if you dwell within the status quo, if you don't do enough to promote, and by definition, let me tell you this, and y'all not gonna like this, but by definition of understanding what a celebrity is in the United States, in Western culture, by definition, a black celebrity cannot be pro-black. You can't be a pro-black black celebrity. You can be a black celebrity that is loved by blacks, that is embraced by the black community, that is fully endorsed by the black community. But that's only because black political education is so deficient. But if you are truly a black celebrity, you, in your expression, in your art form, in your existence, exist in opposition to the interests of black people, because the status quo of the United States, which you are an embodiment of, which you are an ambassador of to the rest of the world and to the peons beneath you, you have to exist in opposition and hostile to what's best for black people, because the status quo is anti-African. The status quo is racist, capitalist, imperialist. And you'll notice the quickest way to lose your celebrity status is to become a leftist, to become someone who goes against the status quo. And I know y'all thinking, well, Kanye West. No, Kanye West is still a celebrity to this day. Right now, today, Kanye West is still a celebrity. Kanye West does not exist in obscurity. He is far from it. He might lose his celebrity eventually, but anti-Semitism, it makes him, he went from a famous celebrity to an infamous celebrity. Same thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump used to be a famous celebrity. He was racist all his life, but he was racist in such a way that all these black Uncle Toms, all these black men who would rap about him, all these black men who would look and desire, he was racist in a way that allowed him what is called deniability or plausible deniability. But then he became an overt racist. So Donald Trump is still famous. He's still a celebrity, but he's an infamous celebrity, a villain. Same thing with Omarosa. Omarosa, since she first became famous or became a celebrity, was always infamous. And then it's like wrestling. You remember you have the Hulk Hogan was I am a real American. Had me singing that shit. I remember my uncle, shout out to Uncle Chris, my favorite uncle. Shout out to Big Uncle Chris. He took me to see Hulk Hogan. This is like in the late 80s, maybe 88, 89, maybe even 97. I'm old as dirt too. So Uncle Chris took me and my little brother and my cousins took us to see it was the WWF back then. And it was Hulk Hogan, the world champion, World Wrestling Federation champion, and he was fighting against Kumbala, the Ugandan giant. And you know it was some brother from Detroit, but they called him Kabbalah, the Ugandan giant. And this brother would walk out in a huge African mask that wasn't even a Ugandan mask. It was just a generic African scary mask, and he would paint his face. You know, go look up Kabbalah, the Ugandan giant. And he came to the stage, and you know, just literally like scaring and jumping at people, and everybody's like, "Oh my goodness! I hope Hulk Hogan hurry up and get out here because this guy can harm us." Right? So Kumbala came in and he was a big man and he stepped over the ropes and he was looking around and they were playing African drums and there was literally like a zookeeper dude that was like his manager keeping him from killing us all. And then the song started saying, I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. And Mike Tyson, and Hulk Hogan came out there in that yellow and red tank top and Hulkamania and came out there and was playing that music and I'm singing along. I swear, I'm singing along, young BroDiallo. I am a real American. And I'm like, Hulk Hogan, beat that Ugandan, whoop his ass, Hulk Hogan. And you know, it got to the point where Uganda was winning. Kumbala was winning, and Hulk Hogan was down on both knees. and the Ugandan giant was slapping the shit out of Hulk Hogan. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. You know, but what are we going to? I wanted to rush the ring and jump on the Ugandan giant's back to save Hulk Hogan. Then the music kicked in again. I'm a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. And Hulk Hogan and Kabbalah would smack him. And then Kabbalah started backing up like, what's going on here? Oh my goodness, what's going on? Anyway, long story short, Hulk Hogan came back from snatched victories from the jaws of defeat. My mind blown. And I'm sitting there singing, I'm a real American. That's how they get you, man. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. I don't even know why I went down and started talking about that story, but boy, let me tell you something. So anyway, let's just get back to the topic. But yeah, that's how they get you, man. You think these sports and ball chasing ain't political? They got me set. Boy, I don't watch wrestling no more. And I wish again, Kumbala would have. And you remember he'd wear those shrunken heads around his neck. So goddamn racist. He was still watching wrestling to this day. Oh, and that was also the very first time I ever saw me some white titties. I don't know if you've ever been to a wrestling event in Missouri or Kansas. I think we were in Kansas. No, we were at Kemper Arena. So that was on the Missouri. We were on the Missouri-Kansas state line in the Bible Belt. You know, the heart of red America, red Republican, godly, Christian, evangelical America. And those women were in there and they would stand on the chairs or get on the shoulders of some white dude and they'd rip off their tops. And then they get a cheer and all the women would rip off their tops and see who would get the biggest uproar from the crowd. So the more the men approved of the breast, the more breasts would come out. So I'm sitting there screaming myself raw, trying to see my real life in the flesh. Wasn't no sisters in there. Or if the sisters was there, they didn't participate. All buxom, blue-eyed, all-American, God-fearing, Republican white women. Weird shit, man. Anyway, thank goodness my ancestors came and showed me the error of my ways, cheering for a white, a xenophobic, racist white man fighting a stereotypical mockery of an African man. And now I know better. I know more better. And I'm way off topic. And it is 8:03. This is Q4 Radio. And we're about to get on topic and stay on topic. Celebrity worship. All that to say is now we understand what a celebrity is. We know that celebrities you cannot be both a black celebrity and a black revolutionary. You cannot even be a black celebrity and a pro-black person. All celebrities belong to, they grow out of, and they are obligated to the systems and institutions and the status quo that births them, even if they come from a demographic or a population that is hostile to their race, their creed, their ethnicity. Celebrities, by definition, American celebrities should not be celebrated by the black masses. Now we do. We love them. We love them. But it hurts us. And I'm going to say why. But I'm going to talk about some other things related to black celebrity. And let me make a confession. I was going to call this broadcast "We Killed Kobe." I was going to call it "We Killed Kobe." I was on Black Power Media last Friday, and I was talking to Dr. Ball, and Dr. Ball said, "What you going to be doing next week?" And I said, well, one of the things I'm going to do, one of my broadcasts that I'm preparing to do is called "We Killed Kobe." And I explained that I was going to talk about how celebrity culture is harmful to black people who reach celebrity status. It's harmful for them, and it's harmful for the black community, and why black people need to re-examine and understand that as a oppressed population, celebrity means something different to us, and we need to start approaching and dealing with celebrity in a different manner than the dominant culture if we are to revolutionize our people, our culture, and liberate ourselves eventually. But everybody was like, oh, some guy in the comments was like, oh yeah, I was flying that helicopter. So I try to be poetic and saying, we killed Kobe. We killed Michael Jackson. We killed Prince. Because these are people who rose to the heights of celebrity status. Even people are like, oh, Kanye seems like he's spiraling and he could do some self-harm or end up, in a bad situation, in a bad way, like many other creative geniuses. And I'm like, well, we play a role in that, especially the people who worship these black celebrities and justify everything these black celebrities do. So I was going to approach it from that point of view, but I said, let me not try to be slick with it and say, clickbait the title "We Killed Kobe," because I thought that people would just be so caught up on the title that I literally meant that we killed Kobe. We somehow caused the helicopter crash, as opposed to we created the environment to give an individual such hubris, to give an individual such status and elite status that, they can't be inconvenienced with human traffic, that they will take helicopter rides to which is ecologically absurd, and the helicopter, an individual who thinks, well, at the time when Kobe was in that helicopter, all the newscaster helicopters had been grounded. The forecast was such that all the police, civic, and privately owned helicopter traffic was grounded. The police helicopters were not in the air. The news helicopters were not in the air because flight conditions were so poor. And so I said, I speculate that Kobe, the pilot that said, hey, Kobe, I can get you there, that it had to be something there to think, well, I'm not like everybody else. I don't have to follow the rules everybody else follows. I don't have to deal with the traffic, and I don't have to be grounded when everyone else. It just seemed like a poor decision on the pilot's behalf, but I can't imagine a pilot, a charter pilot that's on the payroll. We all know about how payrolls and how bosses do. And everybody's like, this guy forced Kobe to fly, or this guy did. I just said, in my own imagination, none of us were there, that if the boss say fly, you're going to fly. Or if the boss says, can you make it happen? And you're going to tell the boss what they want to hear. And a lot of these celebrities, just like Prince could have been saved. Prince's plane had landed, and they said, let's take you to a hospital. Let's get you to treatment. Let's get you off this private jet and get you to a treatment facility. And Prince is like, I'm Prince. No, take me to my private estate. Do as I say. And all the sycophants around them. So if many of these celebrities would be with us today if they followed the basic rules of everybody else has to follow, if they didn't have this inflated sense of self. But I know y'all don't want to hear that. And then what's weird is, because I know for a fact, there are times here in Chicago where the weather gets ugly, where literally we could have like 5 to 6 feet of snow. Cars are stranded. And so a weather warning will come out. I just got a weather advisory the other day. And let's say the weather's so bad that all the police cars are called back to the station. There are no police cars. All the tow trucks, all traffic has been halted in the city of Chicago because traffic is so dangerous. And then I go and get my son, and I know this is painful to listen to, but we got to keep it 100. Keep it a buck. And I say to my son, hey, boy, let's get in this car and go. They can't tell me what to do. I'm going to get and drive my car in these conditions that even the goddamn cops won't drive. They're going to put off harassing and brutalizing black people for a few hours. The news vans aren't on the road. The city construction traffic, all traffic has come to a halt because of the conditions. And I drive and put my son in the car, and I'm there after getting this warning and knowing the conditions are not favorable. I drive anyway because I think I can do it. I believe I can do it. Or I have a driver. I don't have a driver, so I can't even mimic the situation. And then the accident happens. Everybody would be like, Diallo's an idiot, and he caused his son. Not only did he put his own life in danger, he put his son's life in danger. What an idiot. What a loser. Because I'm not famous. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not rich. So when working class and poor people do things that can be classified as irresponsible, nobody justifies. Nobody will be out here talking about boy dad, hashtag BroDiallo, hashtag boy dad. Now I'm like, I don't want fathers like Kobe. I mean, if you're a father who haven't put your child in a life-threatening situation, you're a better father than Kobe is. Hey. But I can't say these things because I'm talking about a celebrity. I'm talking about a human deity, a God amongst men, who had a special skill that wasn't that relevant to life. But let me get off that. I see I'm losing viewership right now. Let me get back to the topic at hand. Let me tell you the problem with this black celebrity stuff. First of all, I need to talk about Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch is a mythological document. There was no Willie Lynch. The tactics of breaking slaves and the tactics of keeping black people in a subordinate position as defined in the Willie Lynch letter are not true. That was not the method. It's not true. And Willie Lynch has had a lot of negative impact. Now, people say, well, if the Willie Lynch letter, even if it's not true, there are lessons buried in there. But there are no lessons. There is misunderstanding and miscomprehension buried in the Willie Lynch. Because this is what the crime and the problem with accepting the fiction, the lies of the Willie Lynch letter, the historical fiction, the historical fantasy, the historical falsehood of the Willie Lynch letter is, number one, it leads black people to think that our disunity and the several internal disagreements and hostilities that exist within the black race, within the black community, is the cause of our oppression, or at the very least, the greatest obstacle to our freedom. That our disunity, where it talks about the man versus the woman, the old versus the young, it's a simplistic, dumb bullshit. The old versus the young, the man versus the woman, very obvious shit. Now, there is no population on the face of the earth where there is not divergence and conflicts between these groups. And I can tell you, to a group, black people in the United States, the African diaspora, has no greater conflicts within these groups than any other population. I mean, white men literally wrote laws against white women. Literally. And then even if you understand the internal conflicts between black people, you have to understand it in the context of oppression. Why the hell white folks acting the way ain't nobody oppressing them? But I digress. And so because of this thing thinking, oh, we were enslaved because we weren't unified, or we couldn't get out of slavery sooner because we weren't unified, or we remained under Jim Crow, or we remained under institutional racist oppression because old black people don't get along with young black men can't get along with black women, you know. And so whenever there is necessary and justified internal disagreements and necessary internal conflict, we shy away from that, or we blame that as the problem. So I come, BroDiallo, black atheist, and I go to black Christians and black Muslims, black spiritual people, and I say, listen, your belief system has no basis in reality. It's make-believe. And we cannot draw from your belief system any type of rational analysis or historical understanding. We have to look at, like I said, my sons did not get religious indoctrination. I oppose religious indoctrination, but I accept and I embrace theological instruction. I think everyone should study theology. I think no one should be indoctrinated into religion. And I've explained what the difference between theological education versus religious indoctrination is. And I've allowed my sons to go to mosque, to church. I've allowed my sons to walk out the front door and talk to the goddamn Jehovah's Witnesses or the Mormon missionaries. My sons have had full exposure to religions, theologies, the philosophies, the dogmas, the value systems, and the documented history and the documented mythology, folklore, myths, allegories. They know it. To the extent that they were interested in learning, I never denied that to any of them. So I digress. They say, well, people come to me and say, Diallo, you shouldn't talk bad about Islam or Christianity because so many black people believe it. We can't afford any type of disunity. We can't afford to tell the truth about these religions that have done and are doing, that currently hold our black people in slavery, that currently drain billions of dollars in resources and countless man hours from our community. Incalculable, ongoing harm, but I can't call it out because that's Willie Lynch. I can't even call out brothers. I get to arguing with brothers in the manosphere, and I can't call Killer Cholesterol Mike a reactionary. I can't call Lord Jamar an idiot. I can't call Tariq Nasheed a buffoon and a con man because that's Willie Lynch. We can't be any level of internal division. And then I have people literally coming to me. I had people, I swear for God, people come to me and say, Jews don't fight each other. They say Jews don't fight each other. And I just saw some Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox anti-Zionists fighting against some Jewish nationalists, literally beating each other with sticks. You know, there's just a documentary that came out about the harm that the Hasidic Jews were literally enslaving their own people and abusing other Hasidic Jews. And some woman escaped from she had 8 children and she escaped because she felt that her life was threatened. And they literally took her children and she can't find them. She don't know if they're still in the Brooklyn or if they've been sent to Israel. They all stick together. I've been talking about the myth of white unity for half a decade. We really believe that no other people, we can sit and watch white folks fight 2 world wars. 2 world wars. We can sit and watch Brexit dissolve. And we can sit and watch Ukrainians, white as hell, and white Russians bomb the shit out of each other and watch all the other white people rally. We see the Turks who are part of the European Union, and the Turk and the European nation of Turkey is buying Russian oil and endorsing Russia, while the Northern European states are trying to stop them from cooperating with Russia. We see white folks fight it, and then we see the release of nuclear documents and see that the United States, with Edward Snowden, released documents showing that the United States is manipulating and spying on its European allies, but they stick together. You know, no, it's just you're a child. So when they fight, they send you out of the room. politically. If you don't see the very, I mean, goddamn, it's just a red-blooded patriotic American ran up in the home of the Speaker of the Senate, like the third highest ranking politician in the United States, the senator, the Speaker of the House, had her husband beat in the head by a hammer by another red-blooded American. We just saw at the Bundy Ranch a bunch of patriotic Americans aiming guns at federal agents. And then a bunch of other red-blooded Americans said, oh, we support it. We just saw January 6th, literally red-blooded patriotic conservative Americans beating cops with U.S. flags and smearing feces on the U.S. Capitals. And we got black people saying, oh, they stick together. Lord, we just saw wealthy white elites finance an opioid epidemic and make billions of dollars off of dumping opioid. We thought just the crack. I mean, if the crack epidemic ain't got nothing, this opioid shit, they let hundreds of thousands of white people die of COVID-19 just to protect Donald Trump's fragile ego. Don't wear a mask, don't social distance. I want a haircut. But we think these people are powerful and they rule us because they stick together and we don't. You know, the Jewish elites stole all the money from the survivors of the Holocaust. Norman Finkelstein wrote a book called The Holocaust Industry, and most of the Jews who were in the concentration camp had to go and get on welfare because all that billions of dollars of reparations went into the pockets of the Zionist elites, and the working class, normal Jews who were the main ones being murdered and slaughtered, didn't get that money. And all the Jewish people collecting money on behalf of the Jews stole it, embezzled it. But they stick together. They stick together. And so black people, don't allow Willie Lynch to preempt you, to stop you from engaging in critical analysis, critique, and even condemnation of black people who go against the interest of the black collective. Don't allow that to scuttle. Do not allow that to scuttle. Don't let somebody say, well, if someone comes to you and says, well, like they come to me, well, you can't criticize Farrakhan. The hell I can't. Now, if they come to you and say, well, your criticism is invalid due to these facts. You don't have these facts. These are, I'm willing to hear that. People got mad at me because I called Tookie Williams a serial killer. And I looked up the definition of serial killer, and I looked up the crimes that were the confirmed crimes that Tookie Williams committed, and it aligns. He classifies as a serial killer. If other black people think he's a hero and an icon, I personally don't see how or where. Houseway. And now, but I did have some people who are admirers of Tookie who says, well, they had some documentation about his relationship to the state, and they had some documentation about the various reforms and efforts and things he did to make amends and turn another cheek and all that shit and to reform or redeem himself. So they just say, well, you can't criticize Tookie. He's a black man. We have to stick together. So I was willing to. I went and read. I read more about Tookie. Looked at his children's books. Now, I still haven't changed my conclusion, but I appreciate someone attempting to, that disagrees with me, that came from an academic, reasoned perspective, as opposed to, oh, you want some Willie Lynch. Black people, we need to be more aggressive about our internal critiques than we are about our external critiques. Your critique of black elites should be more in-depth and stricter than your critiques of white elites. Why? Because the black elites have the potential, greater potential for influence over our communities. Somebody just came to me and was like, why don't you talk about Brett Favre like you talk? You know, and I tell people all the time, I am a revolutionary. I am a socialist. I am oriented from a Pan-African perspective, but I also come from a people perspective. So I'm look from the bottom up. So the people I generally target with my critiques are the people that I have concluded that have the most influence and impact on Black people. So people would ask me, well, you talking about Obama, why don't you talk about Trump like you talk about Obama? I did talk about Trump. I am anti-Trump from day one. But the reason I spent more time going into more specific details of the crimes and atrocities and just the overall administration of Obama is because the Black masses were under the impression that he was a good person, that he was for us. They still admiration. I still see people sharing Obama porn on social media to this day. So our understanding, our collective understanding of Trump was clear. So I ain't got to tell people what they already know. And that's what a lot of so-called prominent Black people do. They just reaffirm what you already know because it feels good. Ain't nothing make me feel good. If I'm gonna go listen to somebody, I want to listen to a atheist, vegan, Pan-African, Xbox gamer, because those are all things that make me feel warm and cozy. But I have to talk about shit that don't make us feel warm and cozy because I want to move us. I want us to become, if you're not a radical, I want you to become radical. If you are a radical, I want you to intensify your radicalism. So I want to keep moving us and advancing us towards Pan-African revolution. So I have to go there. I live out there, so don't go there. So anyway, Black people are not oppressed because we're disunified. Critiquing, disagreeing, and even conflicting with other Black people in order to preserve or advance the interest of the Black collective is good and necessary. It is not Willie Lynch. We should never let an internal traitor go unpunished, and we should never let a prominent Black person of status go without being under ongoing scrutiny and critique. And when we find them wanting, we should call them out. We should call them out without hesitation. And if anyone is in opposition to us calling them out, they need to challenge what we're saying with their own analysis and facts. So if I say Farrakhan is a cult leader, you have to come and say, no, he's not a cult leader, and the Nation of Islam is not a cult. This is what a cult is understood to be, and this is what the Nation of Islam does. This is what a cult leader is, as I understand it, and Farrakhan does not fit the definition of a cult leader for these specific reasons. But if you did that, you'd be on my side. If you allow the facts to fall where they may, if you just follow the reality and facts of any situation, you'd be sitting here in a cardigan drinking chamomile tea, hating on everything and everybody. So throw away Willie Lynch. Don't allow people to Willie Lynch you out of your critical thinking. Don't allow people to really lynch you into submitting to some bullshit that you know goddamn well you should reject. Moving on to another point in relationship to celebrity worship is leading Blacks versus Black leaders. There is a difference. Shout out to Brother Ford. May he rest in peace. He was very astute on distinguishing between leading Blacks and Black leaders. Black leaders emerge from the community and they act in the interest of the community to guide the community to better positions. From a position of oppression to liberation, from a position of in poverty to adequate resources, from a position of ignorance to a position of insight and understanding. That's what a Black leader does. If you're not doing that, if you are not directing people in the interest of the people, you are not a Black leader. But if you are a prominent person who has influence over the Black community, you are a leading Black. If you are guiding Black people to capitalism, or if you are guiding Black people to speak to or aspire to the interests and values of our oppressors and enemies, you are not a Black leader. You are a leading Black, and most leading Blacks are handpicked by people outside our community. If you are a Black person promoting Islam within the Black community, I don't care how popular you are. I don't care how militant you are. You are a leading black. You are not a black leader because you are not emerging from our community and you're not directing our community in our best interest. You are acting on behalf of the Arab oligarchy. Talk about all the Jews. The Arab oligarchs. You are acting on behalf of a belief system, a value system, a mythology, and a culture that is not only alien to African people, but that has been consistently hostile to African people. If you are a black person, a black elected official, and you are promoting reactionary policies, if you are encouraging black people to back platforms that do not serve the interest, you are a leading black. If you are a black politician to tell black people to vote Republican, you are a leading black. You are not a black leader. If you're selling black people sweatshop made clothing with your brand name on it, acting like you're in power, Beyonce, Riri, Jesus. So we have to start distinguishing between leading blacks and black leaders. Your leaders have to, number one, emerge from your community, remain embedded within your community, be vulnerable and obligated to your community. Anybody that you're not in a position to sanction don't belong to you. They're not fighting for you, and you shouldn't fight for them. So let's start distinguishing between leading blacks, who are black people who are handpicked by our oppressors or our enemies or people outside our community that are handpicked and put in prominent position in front of our community, but do not speak to our interests, our values, and does not guide us. And even if what a lot of leading blacks do, they'll tell you, leave Christianity. That's the white man's religion, but they'll guide you towards Islam. They'll tell you to leave the Democrats, but they'll guide you towards MAGA. Remember, the frying pan to the fire. So we have to distinguish between black leaders and leading blacks. And we've had leading blacks that would tell us, Kanye told us there's nothing we could do to him. When Kanye, I just shared the link, if you follow me on Facebook, where Kanye said, he said the same thing he said. Remember when he said, I could do something anti-Semitic and Adidas can't do anything about it? Before he said that about Adidas, when he put up that, that Confederate flag, when he posted that Confederate flag, put it on a bomber jacket, he put it on a t-shirt. And then people were like, how dare you use the Confederate flag? That offends us. That's a symbol of slavery and Jim Crow and racism. And so then he printed another shirt, and on that he put a Confederate flag, a skull and crossbones, and then he put the lettering, this flag is not coming down. And then he had a pop-up shop where he put up a huge Confederate flag, and he said, this flag is not coming down. And then he did interviews, and he said, what are you going to do about it? He said, y'all ain't going to do nothing. The black community, or anybody that was offended by the presence of the Confederate flag, he said, what you going to do? Ain't nothing you can do. And there's nothing we did. We continued to wear his shoes and play his music. And when he started traveling with that shitty ass gospel band that he didn't pay, I'm glad all you gospel singers that toured the world with Kanye after he said slavery was a choice, after he embraced Donald Trump on the world stage and wore that MAGA hat, said it gave him superpowers. After he did all that, y'all went and sang Jesus songs and he didn't pay y'all. And I hope y'all lose the lawsuit against him. You lay down with coons, you wake up with fleas. You lay down with a rabbit coon, you wake up not getting your payment. You know, anybody that says Trump is my daddy, Trump is my hero, Trump don't pay his people. That's what you get. So anyway, we have to distinguish between leading blacks and black leaders. And we have to understand that leading blacks are not obligated to us, and we should not obligate to them. As Dr. John Henry Clark said, if you go over there, stay over there. And there's another thing that's circling that makes me want to holler, where they're talking about that Kyrie Irving and Kanye West are being digitally lynched. that they're going through a digital lynching. Just before I was coming here, I just had to share with someone. Again, I wish I had my camera, but anyway, there's a website called withoutsanctuary.org, right? Let me make sure. There's a book and a website and a traveling display called Without Sanctuary. It is published by Twin Palms Publisher. And you can go to withoutsanctuary.org, and there is a short movie, and there are photos of lynchings in America. And let me tell you something. We, as an African people, as members of the African diaspora, should not allow any fucking body, even Black people, and especially Black celebrities, to flippantly talk about being lynched. Remember when Clarence Thomas was exposed and called out by the sister Anita Hill for being the sexual predator that he is? Clarence Thomas is a sexual predator who has no respect for women in general and Black women in particular, for harassing her, degrading her, dehumanizing and objectifying her. And she went and told the world this man is not fit to be a judge. This sister tried to save us from the scourge that is Clarence Thomas. And he said that he was a victim of a high-tech lynching, a man who said racism doesn't exist anymore. Racism, a man who said Black people are the problem. It's not racism. It's not America. That Black people are bringing down America, not the other way around. America's not suppressing or oppressing Black people. A man who voted to sustain and expand mass incarceration, who voted to sustain and advance the death penalty and said that there's no racial bias, rejecting all research on the matter, even the FBI's research on the matter, saying that there is no policing discrimination, there is no death penalty discrimination against Black people. That Clarence Thomas said that he was lynched, that he was undergoing a high-tech lynching. And here we are, and that was what year was that? That was in the 90s, early 90s, like 91. Here it is, some bitch. Hold on. Y'all not gonna let me, hold on. I get my one. Did I use my N word? Did I drop my M bomb? I get one M bomb per show. Yeah, I'm about to say it. Are y'all niggas crazy? Let me see if I can get it up.
When it came time for him to publicly respond to the allegations, Thomas turned the tables on his interrogators and, for all intents and purposes, ended the debate.
This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. It is a high-tech lynching for uppity Blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to the old order, you will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree.
Man, let me tell you something. Boy, let me tell you something. For Black people to be playing with that word. Let me end this. Let me tell you something. He said he was a high-tech lynch, and Joe Biden was sitting on that panel and high-fiving him. Like, right on, boy. You go, boy. You're right, boy. I'm going to get you on that court to get you to reverse every single piece of legislation that has ever sought to bring any level of justice for Black people. He has voted consistently 100% against any type of policing reform, incarceration reform, voting reform, and now he's about to totally obliterate affirmative action. Now, I'm a revolutionary and a radical. I understand that these things ain't for freedom. But Clarence Thomas hates Black people, and he picks us up and puts us down at his convenience. He's Black when it's convenient for him. The Negro's only on the Supreme Court because of affirmative action. He's only on the Supreme Court because of our ancestors marched and faced dogs and water hoses. He is only on the Supreme Court because our ancestors endured lynching to have their basic humanity acknowledged by this system. And when this Negro climbed up to the top on the ladder we held up, he kicked the ladder away. And now we got Uncle Tom, self-hating, white woman loving Kanye West doing the exact same shit, using the exact same rhetoric, and we're there applauding. Kyrie Irving, and it's a digital lynching. Do you know what a goddamn lynching is? When they go get a black man or woman out of their house, in front of their children, in front of their extended family, take them out. It ain't just a hanging. There has not been one recorded lynching where the victim was not sexually assaulted and mutilated. There is not one lynching on the recorded history where the victims did not have their genitals attacked. Black women, while they are still alive, before they are hanged, have had axe handles, crowbars. Black women and black men that allow vicious dogs to bite away their genitals, to bite away their breast tissue. White people, sex and gang rape of men and women in front of their families, in front of their loved ones, in front of their spouses, had their genitals mutilated, had their body parts rendered, burned alive, hung for nothing, for no reason than a group of white boys were bored. And we got Uncle Tom sellouts who do nothing to honor those ancestors or create conditions where we know that can't happen again. Black people who are allies of the descendants, the allies of the lynchers, the allies of the racist, going to call out lynching when they personally get in trouble, while they're denying the fact that the rest of us are under genocidal oppression, telling us that we went through all that shit as a choice. Kanye said that our ancestors went through and what we going through is a choice. Kyrie Irving, in his Hebrew belief system, is saying that that was God's will, God's divine punishment, that we brought it on ourselves. And now we saying these motherfuckers are the ones getting lynched. We're defending them and trying to protect these pieces of shit. Fuck Kyrie and fuck Kanye and fuck anybody that continues to justify or support them. I don't give a shit what the so-called Jews or what the white man does to them. I wouldn't spit on those assholes if they were on fire. How the hell are we defending people that have never stood with us? I'm going to drop one more N-bomb. Sorry, Kwabena. Sorry to the Clear the Airways project. Don't come protest Q4 Radio. I promise you. I won't drop an N-bomb for next show. Are y'all niggas crazy? Stop talking that lynching shit. Stop. Stop saying these men are not being lynched. These men are nowhere near lynchings. These men have never read an account of a lynching, because if they did, they would never say that. Like I said, right now, Kyrie Irving is sleeping in a mansion. Right now, Kanye West is sleeping in a mansion between the legs of a white woman. And you talking about he's being lynched because he lost money where he's still worth over $200 million. We disrespect ourselves, man. Let me get off that. Because another thing they talk about is black philanthropy with these black celebrities. Oh, they donate money. LeBron built a school. They telling me about the turkeys that Kyrie gave out. Tell them about the medical bills and the rent that Kyrie Irving has paid for the black masses. Let me tell you something. There were revolutions fought. There were massive uprisings because citizens, peasants, serfs, commoners did not want to live at the benevolence of the elites. Because any rich black person or any rich person, I don't give a damn if it's George Soros, I don't give a damn if it's Bill Gates, I don't give a damn if it's Kyrie or LeBron James. Everything they got from us. LeBron has not done $500, $800 million worth of work. There is nobody on this planet that has done $1 billion worth of work. So if you have millions of dollars, if you have billions of dollars, you got it as a result of the exploitation, the hyper exploitation of other people's labors. If people were justly compensated for the labor and their contributions, there wouldn't be a billionaire on this goddamn planet. Every billionaire and every millionaire is a goddamn parasite. And so when they come back with their $100 million and then they give us a $200,000 tax deductible gift, We want to dance in the streets. I tell you, there were revolutions fought because the commoners did not want to live at the benevolence of elites. So Jay-Z and Beyonce talking about, oh, our children are going to be rich, our great-grandchildren. We're so rich, we got more money we can spend in 10 generations. And we're applauding that, right? And so Jay-Z's benevolent. Jay-Z wants to fight crime reform. Jay-Z wants to stop degenerate anti-black murder music from being used as evidence in court. Jay-Z's turned a leaf. Jay-Z's even pro-LGBTQ now. He's pro-woman. He had a daughter, so he's pro-women. His mother's a lesbian, so he's pro-gay. He's just turned it, and that's not waking up. That's being a narcissist. I only care about shit when it affects me directly. That's narcissism. That's not righteousness. That's not growth. But let's pretend it's growth. But let's say Jay-Z came from Marcy. I'm from Marcy, son. So he wants to reach back and help and pay the bail for for Ferguson, Missouri activists. He's going to pay to bail them out pending trial, and then leave them in the dust and get all those accolades, and then leave them to be incarcerated a few years later. But I digress. But let's say Blue Ivy, who never lived in the projects, who never had a poor black experience, like, I feel nothing for these peasants. I have no connection to these people. I was born a billionaire. And she's no longer benevolent. So everything her father gave to us, she takes it all back. And instead of dancing on stage with Michelle Obama, she's dancing on the stage with some right-wing Republican. And we're acting confused. Like, your daddy wouldn't approve of this. So we should not live at the behest. Stop praising the elites who steal everything from us for giving us back a modicum. It is not a good thing that a rich person opens a school in your community. I don't care if it's LeBron or Kanye. That is this evidence of the breakdown of civil society, of the breakdown of civic society, of a breakdown in people power. People power does not come from one elite giving to the masses. People power come from the masses taking the resources and determining amongst ourselves what we would do to them, with them. Just hope, well, we got housing issues over here. We got police brutality issues over here. We got educational issues over here. We got healthcare issues over here. Let's hope some celebrity picks our cause, wakes up in the morning, stretches, and goes to their servant and say, what cause shall I bless today? That is a diminishing and a erosion of unity and power, groveling before some billionaire to give you the things that you deserve, your inalienable rights. So fuck philanthropy. Now, caveat, take the money. Take the money. If LeBron James walked into, or Kyrie Irving or Kanye came in here and wrote a check, I take that money and get on this air and say the same goddamn thing. That's why they don't give me money. But if you want to thank a rich, maybe there's only two things a wealthy person, a wealthy black philanthropist can do. Philanthropy is status quo. The reason they give you a little trickle down. Now, when Reagan came and said trickle down economics, black people were like, how dare you? You think we're stupid? We know goddamn well trickle down economics doesn't work. But when a black celebrity engages in trickle down economics, we dance in the street. We do the Holy Ghost. Woo-hoo. Look what they done did. I've had people, I critiqued. I said, screw LeBron James. Now everybody mad at LeBron James because the Jews. But about 4 or 5 years ago, when I'm like, fuck that school, everybody was like, how dare you? Where's your school? There would be no Diallo school because I am a working class man. I am a man of the people. So if any school I'm a part of, it'd be our school. It wouldn't be Diallo's school. It wouldn't be your school or her school. It would be our school. And that's what we need. Schools that are constructed by us, governed by us, officiated by us, secured by us. Not an individual. Individualism is inherently corrupt. Public school system in the United States was founded by black people. They've turned education into an elite commodity. You don't want your child being educated within the halls of some rich person's vanity project. Both of my sons went to public schools. And I had to, my wife, when I left the house, she wasn't even there. She was at the nightly thing. Fight for the public schools. We surrender billions of dollars in resources. And just we all scrambling to get our kids into the best white schools they can get into because we have abdicated our ownership of local schools. Fight to reclaim public education. Fight to reclaim public institutions. Forget about the benevolence of Black elites. And if you are a Black elite, let me tell you what you do. Forget charity. You have to commit class suicide, and you have to engage in true wealth redistribution. And what money you have left over, do like Bob Marley or the late great Bob Marley or the late great Fela Kuti. Use your fame and wealth to finance guerrilla movements, to finance guerrilla warfare, to advocate for revolutionary uprisings across the Black world. You have to engage in class suicide and true wealth distribution. If you don't do that, then you can take your philanthropy and you know what you can do with it. Moving on, this is what we have to understand, because we've put in all this energy and given all this solidarity to Black traders, to Uncle Tom handkerchief head sellouts. And it ain't just Kyrie and let me tell you something. True Black leaders can't be taken down by their enemies. These people have been handpicked by our oppressors. And if the white man give it to you, the white man take it away. The white man gave us constructed. And Kanye sat there and signed those contracts. And he's talking about slavery as a choice, but he wants us to rally behind him because of the shitty contracts that he really did choose to sign. Chose to marry Kardashian and complaining. He's the one, if anybody chose oppression. And I don't even care what he does. He should be a non-factor in the Black community. He should be a non-entity. Why am I walking the streets of the South Side of Chicago and every other Black kid got on Yeezy's ugly ass shoes? Why? What the fuck is wrong with us? And before I saw Yeezy's every other shoe on every other foot, the feet that ain't wearing Yeezys are wearing Jordans. And I ain't saying you can't wear Nikes or Adidas. Just get the generic kind. Don't pay overpriced because of some celebrity put you think. Ain't neither one of them motherfuckers been inside of a goddamn shoe factory. Why should they get any money for shoes, let alone the bulk of the money? So let me let you understand how we need to approach this thing. Black celebrities are inherently, I ain't saying don't watch your ball chasing. I ain't saying don't go watch the movies. I ain't saying don't shake your ass to the goofy ass music. Enjoy yourself. Lord knows, Black people, nobody deserves more enjoyment than Black people. Whatever your escape, whatever your outlet is, indulge in it. But just like turn that shit off. Turn those people off when you turn the music off. If you're not watching Kyrie chase balls, he should be a non-factor when he's not chasing balls. Same thing with LeBron. And then y'all here picking sides. Okay, somebody told me, Kyrie or LeBron, Kyrie versus Barkley. I mean, they all cool. They all owned by the same people. And so anyway, let me tell you how we approach this. How we stop being played and stop being confused about who deserves our support and solidarity. If we support traitors, we give no incentive to our freedom fighters. If we support people who betray us, we give no incentive for anyone to be loyal to us. Black loyalty should be something that is hard to earn, hard to maintain, and relatively easy to lose. It should be very narrow parameters. You are somebody we admire, somebody we support, somebody we rally around. And I don't mean just philosophical disagreements. I have people that I have deep respect for and even deeper disagreements with. It ain't about but if I know if our disagreement, if you watch me on Black Power Media, you see me and Dr. Ball bump heads on every other topic. But I got respect for that brother because I know he is making an ongoing positive contribution to the just aspirations of African people. And that's a very relatively low bar. Any Black person that is making positive contribution to the just aspirations of our people, we should deem an ally and deem someone we should support. Anyone who betrays us should feel the wrath. We should have dumped and threw away Kanye before the Jews ever knew who he was. We so busy focusing on what other people are offended by and what other consequences other people level against these Uncle Toms. We don't even take time to say, well, are we being offended? We don't even focus on our disrespect. It's kind of like the woman who gets battered and then a man jumps and attacks your abusive spouse, and you are focusing on the man abusing your spouse, and you forget all about the abuse that your spouse leveled against you. That's why I say black people don't have Stockholm syndrome, because if you look at the Stockholm situation, the man who took the Stockholm people hostage was relatively nice to them. That's why they started being endeared. They literally, the people under Stockholm syndrome, when they were interviewed, they said that we felt like our captors cared more about our safety than our liberators. We felt that our captors were more mindful about protecting us than the police. The police were just trying to resolve the situation. We felt at any moment the police were creating more danger for us. Not one of those hostages were brutalized. Not one of those hostages died. So here we are in the United States where we're dying, being brutalized and dehumanized unceasingly. So black people, our collective condition is more akin to battered spouse syndrome, where you are brutalized and abused by an entity that you still love and embrace, as opposed to someone who is putting you in a bad situation but being relatively tender to you. I mean, maybe it's splitting hairs, but I see people talk, oh, we got Stockholm syndrome. No, what I'm seeing is battered spouse syndrome. But let me tell you how we break this down. Race first is fucking us up. I am a race first advocate. Race first. I keep saying this, and I'm gonna get over this really fast because I'm running out of time. And my last talking about, African World Coalition, I will save that for my next broadcast. But race first, not race only. Race first, not race only. If you're race first and you leave it at that, you are up for some real confusion, because after Jim Crow was redesigned, Jim Crow has never ended. It is a new Jim Crow. Shout out to Michelle Alexander. This is a new Jim Crow. The old Jim Crow, we playing by old Jim Crow rules. We're playing by old Jim Crow rules. We need new opposition tactics and new analysis for the new Jim Crow. We're going off of, people are still going off trying to replicate what Marcus Garvey did. Trying to replicate what Malcolm X did. When Malcolm X wouldn't do what Malcolm X did if he was still here today. If the Nation of Islam hadn't collaborated with COINTELPRO to kill him. So it's race first. What comes after race first? Because saying first means there's something second. You don't have to say first. If I say I'm the first person on air tonight, then you assuming that there must be a second person. So what comes after race first? Ideology. Once you determine, okay, race first, this person is black like me. We in the same boat. We family, we brothers, we sisters, we cousins. We together, race first. Done, locked in. Okay, after I determine that you are a race, your ideology. Are you a right-wing conservative? Are you a liberal, neoliberal capitalist? Are you a revolutionary Pan-Africanist? Are you a self-hating Uncle Tom? Are you an apolitical dunderhead who just wants pleasure and to watch athletes chase balls and eat, processed food and chicken wings while you watch the championship? Are you apolitical? Are you radical politics? Are you conservative politics? Are you reactionary? What is your ideology? Because I can't mess with, or I can't work with, I can't collaborate with, I can't ally with you based on your race alone. I got to know your ideology. And let's say you have the right ideology. You pro-black. And you know that. You want what's best for black people. You are you are a pro-black person. You're black and you're down for the cause. You want to see our people do better. Like Bill Cosby. Then I have to ask, what's your class? Class third. What class are you? What are your economic situation? Are you a multimillionaire? Are you part of the black bourgeoisie? Because that's important, because there's two steps to wealth: amassing fiat and then sustaining fiat. We only focus on amassing fiat. I came from the bottom, now I'm here. I came from Marcy Projects, I hustled crack and I did some rapping and I got all this money. I come from nowhere, LeBron James, I chase these balls, dunk these balls, and now I'm super rich. Once you have an abundance of money, you have to sustain that wealth. And rich people don't just put their money in savings accounts like us poor folks. They invest their money. So you're putting your money in the stock market, You're putting your money in with what they call them things, hedge funds. So where's your money? How are you preserving and advancing? Because you know anything about fiat is it depreciates. So if I got $1 million today and I just put it under my mattress, what that money could buy today, it won't be able to buy next week, and it won't be able to buy the next week or the following week. So the money depreciates. So I have to continually to grow. And if I got my money from rapping or chasing balls, that eventually plateaus. So how do I explode my money? By investing the money. And how do I invest the money? And to get the highest rate of returns, I have to put my money where the imperialism and white hegemony. I have to put my money in military. I have to put my money in imperialism. I have to put my money in a place where it is extracting wealth, because the money must grow. How does wealth grow? Through extracting wealth from the masses and concentrating it amongst the elite. And however you do that, whether it's sweatshops, whether it's invasions and weapons, whether it is child labor, sweat labor, whether it's taking resources, natural resources from the so-called third world or from the developing nations, however, and every single wealthy Black person must engage in this, even being a landlord, even like Rick Ross, even running your shitty low vibration food restaurants and underpaying your workers, stealing your workers' labor. That's the only way to grow. Because once you secure the bag, if you just sit down, the bag fades. So what is your class? What is your race? What is your ideology? What is your class? Third, what is your methodology? Let's say you're Black. Let's say you're Pan-Africanist. Let's say you're working class or poor. Oh, three hits, 3 bullseyes. Let's work together. Third, fourth, what is your methodology? Do you want to just get out here with machetes and machine guns and run up and down the streets? Do you want to rally around being foundational Black America and erect these ideological and cultural barriers and walls around Black people in the United States and appeal to the state for reparations and then get that reparations money and somehow invest it and become Black? What methodology, what means do you intend to employ? What strategies and tactics do you intend to employ to move Black people from a state of oppression to a state of liberation? There's a bridge. There's where we are and where we want to go. What do you intend to do? Do you want to boat across the gap? Do you want to fly across the gap? Do you want to try to walk across the gap? Do you want to turn the other direction and ignore the gap? What is your methodology? Because even if we align on race, ideology, and class, if your methodology is not viable, then I can't waste time with you, or I have to continue in discourse and ideological struggle with you, and to hell with Willie Lynch. If we got to argue, debate, and bring it to the people and appeal to the masses about this method is or that method, that is healthy, that is necessary, that is revolutionary. So I'm going to conclude with that. Black people, you can enjoy the celebrities as they share their arts and talents with you in the world, but we have no political, social, economic, or ideological loyalty to celebrities. We have real people. Now, I'm saying revolutionary artists, revolutionary scholars, revolutionary athletes are not celebrities, and we can embrace them. If people that are not vulnerable or obligated to us should not receive our obligation. People that we can't or refuse to hold to account are not for us, regardless of their rhetoric. And our enemy's enemy does not our friends. There are several factions amongst the elites, several hostile factions. And they might beat the hell out of each other, but they're unified on their willingness to oppress and exploit us. So just because somebody's fighting with somebody you don't like, you don't jump in the middle of that fight. Sometimes you sit back and enjoy the show and let them beat the shit out of each other. Divide and conquer. Thank you for tuning in. Please support the BroDiallo broadcast. Where's the thing? I don't even know. My stuff is all messed up. There are several ways to support. You can like, share, subscribe. That is the easiest way. Please leave a comment. Even if you disagree with me, please leave a comment. I read all the comments underneath the videos. I appreciate the support. And I also appreciate the criticisms. What else? Oh, yeah, you can also become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month, $2 a month. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can help this brother maintain his broadcast. If you support media from a radical analysis, fact-based, radical perspective. Oh, and there's this book I want to share. I didn't even get to it. The Certified Directory of Uncle Tom's. I didn't even get to it. And but anyway, we need to divest from Black celebrities. We need to start to erect leaders from our own community, and we should use the celebrities for what they are, a source of entertainment, a brief distraction. But we need to remove their level of influence and power amongst ourselves and our children. And if an artist or an athlete wants to be a member of the Black liberation struggle, or even just be a respected member of the Black community, we need to make sure that their ideology, class, and methodology align with ours. And that's that. Let me play the outro so I can go home and settle in for the evening. And I, again, appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all, and I'm motivated to be here because, oh, that's the wrong thing. What is going on in this goddamn? Oh, here we go. So playing the outro, and I will see y'all Monday morning, the BroDiallo broadcast. Let's see.